Donald Trump held a cabinet meeting today, and a reporter asked Marco Rubio about Abrego Garcia. And Marco Rubio smacks down this reporter. And it's kind of bold. Take a listen.
Secretary Rubio, can I ask you a question? You brought up El Salvador in your remarks. Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia? Has a formal request from this administration been made?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to. But I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it because that's how foreign policy works.
Indeed. And that's exactly as the Supreme Court ruled. You can't compel the executive branch to engage in foreign policy. So while they are basically saying to the Trump administration, bring him back if you can, they're not forcing him to bring him back. But according to CNN, Marco Rubio and Salvadoran president have been in touch about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So we will see how much this pans out. But there is another story, my friends, and that is Donald Trump's statements about MS-13 being written on his knuckles. And Trump really does seem to think that the letters MS and 1 and 3 were written on his hand. Remember that photo he held up where it showed the hand and it's got the marijuana, the smiley, the cross, and the skull? And it was a symbol symbolizing MS-13. Well, in Trump's interview over this matter, he actually seems to think that he really does have MS-13 written on his hand. And here's, I got these liberals. We got Brian Tyler Cohen. Let me see if I can pull this one up. He says, checking in on this, Tim. And he tweets at me. On April 19th, I tweeted, holy F. Liberals fall for this ish because their influencers are effing, if you know what I mean. It's a story from The Independent. Quote, he's got MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. Trump appears to hold up altered image of Abrego Garcia's hand. The point of my statement is that liberals genuinely believed that a key or legend provided to Donald Trump was Donald Trump attempting to Photoshop the image to trick them and other people. That's the amazing thing about it. But now that Trump has made this statement, seemingly genuinely believing that MS-13 was actually written on his hand. And I know that Trump supporters are going to argue he did not mean literally. Let me play the clip for you, and then we'll break this one down.
And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute
well,
over that.
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why
sir.
don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested. Ukraine.
Coming up.
It's contested. Okay, let's break this down. Liberals, if your argument is Trump is now so stupid he actually believed that the Photoshop he held up, the quote-unquote Photoshop he held up, was real, you're saying you are stupid. What is with these people? Okay, let's try this. When Donald Trump held up that piece of paper, here's what I think happened. Somebody in the Trump administration said, look, we believe these tattoos on his hand represent MS-13. So they went on a computer, and it's not Photoshop. It looks like paintbrush, to be honest, and just took some Times New Roman MS-13 over the symbols to show them as a quote-unquote legend. This is what the marijuana means. M, the smiley, S, the cross, 1, the skull, 3. I don't know why the skull means 3. The cross makes sense. It's a 1, right? So arguably, they give this to Trump. Liberals then argued Trump was trying to trick all of these people with a Photoshop as if they genuinely thought that Trump was showing the image of the knuckles with MS-13 like a real image. Okay, let me try this again for all these liberals. Your argument initially was that Trump Photoshopped this image, and you all thought, clear as day, y'all thought that reasonably could have been a tattoo. And then people like me were like, that's obviously just a legend made in paintbrush. The colors are even different. The intention from the administration was to highlight the symbols and what they may mean. If your argument, Brian Tyler Cohen, is now that you knew the whole time that it was intentionally done to symbolize as this, what's the guy's name? I forgot. Terry Moran, is that his name? If you are now admitting you knew the whole time they were intending to show what the symbols actually mean, but because Trump genuinely believed it's real, Trump's the idiot now, you are proving exactly what I was saying about you. Want to ask me what I think about Donald Trump believing the MS and 1-3 was actually tattooed on the hands? Trump's an old man who sometimes gets things wrong. He's not a demigod perfect guy. He does stupid things sometimes. That's just reality. Hey, we can always go back to he shouldn't have bombed Yemen. He shouldn't have launched a commando raid in Yemen. He shouldn't have launched missile strikes on Syria. You ain't going to get it from me. What reality do people live in? Let me just explain for you the disdain I have for this people and why it's so simple. Donald Trump holds up a picture. The liberals pretend that that's an actual tattoo. Like a sane, reasonable person is actually going to believe that that's a real tattoo on the guy's hand. And then I say, I can't believe the media is doing this. Trump was intending to show, likely an aide or someone in his administration said, hold this photo up so he can explain the gang tattoos on his hand. Trump spends 5 seconds looking at it, holds it up, and then carries on with his day. Not a big deal for him, probably doesn't pay attention. But unfortunately for Trump, he made a mistake. He didn't look into it, maybe because he wasn't paying attention, or because he's got bad eyes, because he doesn't know what Photoshop is. He actually thought, it would seem, MS-13 was written on his knuckles. Fascinating. Okay, most people would not think that. Most sane, rational people are going to be like, oh, they're showing you what the symbols mean. The liberals were apoplectic. They were arguing that that was reasonably considered a Photoshop of tattoos. But now that Trump is coming out and saying he's got MS-13 clear as day, the liberals are like, we knew the whole time that that was actually just paintbrush and no one would believe it. Your argument now was my argument then. Okay. Y'all are disingenuous. Okay. Insult Donald Trump and mock him for making a mistake. And I'm going to be like, okay. This is the funniest thing. We had this journalist on Timcast IRL, and she's like, when was the last time you criticized Elon Musk or Donald Trump? And then Shane just looks over and he's like, I hate Elon Musk. These people don't get it. That they live in this bubble world where they think that we're all walking around imagining that Donald Trump is actually as depicted in a Ben Garrison comic. Guys, I'm aware that Donald Trump is out of shape. I am aware that Donald Trump gets things wrong. Yeah, I'm not fazed at all by it. My statement, Brian, on X stands firm. You are calling it an altered image. That's the point. It's not an altered image. Okay, that's factual but not truthful. Fact. It's an image with alterations to it. It was an attempt, as we already figured out, to show what these symbols mean. Terry Moran was right. He was saying, well, it was showing the interpretation. No, not interpretation. MS-13. Trump was wrong. Okay, moving on. This is the problem I have with these people. They live in a world where it's like Trump is wrong about everything all the time, no matter what. And my attitude is much more like Trump gets a lot of things wrong. In fact, Trump lies quite a bit, but he lies about stupid things. You know what I mean? They're saying he's lying about this. I'm like, no, I think Trump probably was handed a piece of paper, didn't spend much time looking at it, and is wrong. I think he misunderstood what was being handed to him. I don't think Trump is a stupid guy. He's a billionaire. But look, he gets handed a piece of paper. He says, what is this? Oh, okay. And they're like, hold it up. He holds it up and he moves on. He made a dumb mistake, and now he looks stupid. That's it. Hey, it happens to the best of us. Maybe Trump will be like, Trump's the kind of guy where if someone comes up and says, Mr. President, that's not literally in his hand. I'm sorry you misunderstood. He's the kind of guy who's going to come out and be like, I didn't realize, I didn't look at it. They gave it to me, and I thought it was there. I didn't know, but the symbols were there, so Terry was right. One of my favorite moments is when Trump is in a rally, and he's like, these lights are too bright. They made me look orange. And then everybody laughs. He knows how to make people laugh. He knows when he's gonna fall on something or whatever. But I'm just gonna wrap up by saying this. I don't care that Trump got it wrong and looks stupid. He made a stupid mistake. It's kind of embarrassing. That's about it. Next question. What does that matter? Right? What? Haha, Tim. No, you're just showing that you guys were lying the whole time because you knew exactly what that image was. Calling it an altered image with a tattoo on it when you knew, and you're now admitting that's not a tattoo. Maybe Trump actually 4D chessed you by pulling this move. He said, the liberals are claiming it was a real tattoo? I guess I'll do that. Ridiculous. But welcome to the world we live in. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Smash the like button, share the show, stay tuned, follow me on X and Instagram. We got more. This is the last segment of the day, but we'll be back on Timcast IRL at 8 p.m. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all then.